is.
Maybe it was just our setting. Hey guys.
There's my mate, Mr. Muir.
Yep, there's Rexy. I don't know who that is.
Hello, Rexy.
You guys can hear and see us all okay? Someone let us know. Yep, Sandy, thank you. I'd love it if I could see all your beautiful faces.
Hello, Caitlin.
I know that there's a couple of other people who are going to join, but we can. Oh, there he is, Rex and the team. Yeah, we can start, and I'll let anyone else that comes through shortly.
All right. And are you recording this as well, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Apologies, I've just had a bus pull up alongside me. Good morning, all. My name is Anthony. I'm from Tarpey, and Belinda has asked me to provide you all with a bit of an overview as to what Tarpey is, to help you better streamline repairs and maintenance. Rex, if we need to catch up outside of this, that's fine. I can pop in and see you guys as well. Personally, as you know, I'm Newey based. And apologies, I am doing this from my car in suburban Sydney. So if you do hear some traffic, it's all okay. I'm going to share my screen so we can jump into this. Let's just get this to work. Allow, let's go entire screen. Bill, can you just let me know once this pops up at your end, please?
Mm-hmm. I can see all of us, yep.
Cool. All right. So in terms of Tarpey, if any of you haven't heard of what Tarpey is, it's essentially a workflow solution for repairs and maintenance. It's designed to streamline how you deal with not just tenants, but also engage with owners, trades, and just to make your life a hell of a lot easier. It is a great addition to the Console Cloud platform. So there is an integration where on an hourly basis from Console into Tarpey, we're updating any new active properties that you've created, any changes to owner and tenant contact information, along with all of your trades will come across as part of that import. Once you've switched on the integration as well, anything that you create in Console moving forward, so if you're still using the Console Go app, you can create maintenance in Console and it will feed across within the hour into Tarpey. But the other big plus we've got is if you're using Inspection Express, they're actually our dedicated inspection partner. So when you're out at an inspection, you can flag maintenance and it will automatically push straight into Tarpey. So whether you're a full end-to-end setup where you're actually doing your own inspections while you're at the property, you can use your phone to then allocate that maintenance issue off to the owner for approval, or you can push it off to the trade as a quote or work order. Or if you've got someone in the office, so you've got a field services team that's doing the inspections, you're sitting in the office, the moment they flag that as maintenance, it appears in Tarpey. So while you're sitting there at your desk, you can actually push it straight out and allocate it to that owner or trade. So it's a very, very useful integration with Inspection Express. And then from the Tarpey world back into Console Cloud, it's instantaneous. So we will co-create the job in Console Cloud, we'll give it a description, we'll update the status as it goes through the motions as well. And then when an invoice comes in from a trade, once you review, amend and approve the invoice in Tarpey, we will actually push that invoice, all of that information back into Console Cloud. We'll close out the work order and we will create the creditor's bill automatically as well. So we're going to cut down on your invoice processing time, and I'll show you how that works in a little moment. In terms of those integrations, so like I said, yep, Console Cloud and Inspection Express. A couple of awards we've just been allocated as well. We were awarded the best PropTech solution in the residential space in the last year, and we're also given or awarded the best scale-up solution for property management and maintenance. So something we like to toot our own horn about. Now, it all starts with tenant engagement. So for those of you that typically get maintenance reported by the tenants via phone, email, if they're reporting it through a portal, whatever it may be, we've simplified it all. So you might find that every so often, or it could be more often than not, that you're having to go back to a tenant and help troubleshoot their way through the issue, or you might simply just get told, hey, I've got a leaking tap. Now, that's great, but they don't give you more information as to which tap is actually leaking, how much water's coming out of said tap, all that sort of stuff. So you're having to go back and forth. We've actually eliminated that through a 24/7 chat service that we've developed. And this is not new ChatGPT stuff. This has been around for 5 or 6 years. So it's actually well and truly embedded, tried and tested, and it is next level in terms of how it resolves things with your tenants. It acts like an experienced property manager, but the idea is it's going to triage and troubleshoot the tenant through the issue. Now, one option is to have a QR coded sticker within the tenant's home, and I'll show you how that works via a video in a second. The other is via your own website. So just to give you an example, this website here, under tenants, maintenance request, our chat service is embedded on the web page. Once it connects to the chat service, it will then ask the tenant to add their full name, their email address, and the property address they're living in. It will then allow the tenant to go back and forth with that conversation, allow them to attach photos and videos, that sort of stuff. But the idea is it's going to do all the troubleshooting before it lands in your lap. But in terms of the QR code scenario, I'm just going to play this little video for you. I'll even zoom in. Can everyone see that? Belle, can you see that all right? The tenant comes over, they scan a QR code, it then loads a page that is branded up. So your individual logo will appear here at the top. The tenant's address that they live in will appear here. And then their open and historically reported maintenance will appear here. So the tenant doesn't have to download any apps. They don't have to sign into anything. They don't have to create any accounts. They simply scan the QR code and it knows who they are automatically. Now, that is based on the fact that when you place this QR code sticker in their home, you scan it and register it against that property within Tapi. And the good thing is, every time a tenancy changes, it will actually reset. So the new tenant doesn't see what the previous tenant has reported. It's a clean slate. Now, when a tenant clicks request repair, it simply engages with the chat service. It'll ask them to report one issue at a time. And in this case, we've got the fact that it's a leaking tap. And it'll go back and say, sorry to hear that, but which tap is actually leaking? So in this case, they've said, right, it's the kitchen tap. We then ask them how much water is coming out of said tap. And they're saying, right, it's a constant drip. Based on this, we then give them some options and it says, right, can you turn the water off without needing to access the mains? In this case, they've said no. So then we give them some examples of what the mains may look like. We then give them some YouTube guidance as to how to turn those mains off. And then we'll confirm with the tenant as to whether or not they're actually able to turn the mains off. So once they've been able to do that, we then ask them, has the water stopped leaking? And then we summarize that whole conversation and push it through to you as the PM to be able to control what happens next. So as the property manager, you're always in control of this situation. Nothing automatically gets pushed out to an owner or a trade from this aspect, but it gives you more information up front. So photos, videos, a full summary of that conversation. If this issue had have been something like a blocked drain, a blocked toilet, or a broken door handle, it will initiate a self-help guide to the tenant to try and resolve it before you have to step in and then allocate it to a trade. Or if it had have been a broken appliance, for example, like an oven, we'll ask, is it gas or electric? We will then ask if they have access to the make and model of that particular oven. And the reason we do that is we've actually tapped into the world's largest online database of asset manuals. So if we can identify the make and model of that asset, and there's a manual allocated to it, we can push that manual through as part of this chat service to the tenant to help them troubleshoot their way through the issue. If it gets as far as going to the trade as a quote or a work order request, basically the trade will get those photos or video, they'll get access to this summary of the conversation, and the trade will also get a copy of that manual before they even go to site. Does that sound pretty cool to everyone? Now, what happens next, I hear you ask? It then pushes into the Tapi dashboard. So this is Tapi from a property manager's perspective. Now, the idea with Tapi is, instead of the way you operate at the moment in Console Cloud, where you've got one long list of jobs, typically you've got to go into each job every day or every couple of days to work out what the next step needs to be. we've broken it down into 2 simple to-do lists. So the first one is under jobs here, we've got take action. This is anything that may have been created from a new tenant's perspective. It may be a new request from Inspection Express, or it could be an owner or a trade response. It is when the ball lands in your lap to then obviously work out what needs to happen next. So that's jobs, take action. The second to-do list is needs attention. So within Tarpy, every request that gets created, we actually, you get to allocate a priority level, as you can see here down the center, where it could be a normal job, it could be an important job, or it could be an urgent job. And based on one of those 3 options is you actually allocate a number of days before it flags a reminder to the owner or trade to follow up automatically on your behalf. So if one of you had sent me a request as an owner, it's a normal job, it might be 5 days, for example. After 5 days, if I haven't responded as an owner, Tarpy's automatically going to follow me up on your behalf. If I still don't respond to that first reminder, it's then going to flag back into needs attention for you to then follow up with me, right? And similar with a trade. It's going to wait a number of days, send a reminder, and then after that first reminder has been sent, it's then going to flag back to you in terms of needs attention for you to re-engage. Does that sound pretty simple? Now, the main concept is you've got 4 little tabs here across the top: jobs, invoices, messages, and needs attention. If you as a property manager see a number in any one of those boxes, it means that you've got something to do. The idea is you work those numbers down to 0 on a daily basis, and then you are maintenance free. So you're not having to worry about something that's sitting with an owner or a trade within that first, first contact period of a few days. While it's sitting with them awaiting a response, it's not marked as something for you. But if you wanted to look at your entire list of open jobs, simply click open. It then shows you all of the open jobs within your portfolio. You can then break that down into each different status. So I can see which jobs out of the 6 I'm awaiting quotes for. I can then see I've got 11 jobs awaiting approval from the owner. And then I can also see how many jobs I'm awaiting invoices for. So at the simple click of a button, you can see exactly what's going on within your portfolio, but you only really need to worry about what's sitting in your take action list, which is currently 9 items, or what's sitting in your needs attention list. Now, when a new job comes into the platform, let's open up this example. I've got a photo of the issue from the tenant. Now, the tenant has also reported that the oven isn't heating up. We've asked the tenant, is it gas or electric? We've asked them to do a heat check. They've noticed it today. They've done a timer check and a PowerPoint outlet check, and we've also asked about the make and model. So we've got that information there. Now from console, we've also got the property address. We've got the owner's details. Now this property is vacant, so there's no tenant associated with that property, but this is now ready to push out to an owner for an approval or off to a trade as a work order or quote request. So nice and clean, very simple, and it's a lot cleaner than what you may be looking at the moment. Now, part of our platform, we've got a few value adds that have been built into this. The first one I want to talk about is this component here. So with Tarpy Insights, this is our asset register. And you get to create an asset individually throughout the platform against certain properties. We're also working with Inspection Express. If you're using their 360 AI-driven ingoing inspections, we're developing a part of that platform is to be able to pull that information from those 360 AI-driven inspections and pre-populating this. And in time, we will also pull information from an invoice. So if you replace an oven, an air conditioner, a dishwasher, whatever it may be, we'll look to pull that information and pre-populate this component. But with the asset register, it's going to allow you to better track the warranty of an asset. It's going to give you the effective life according to ATO depreciation guidelines as well. You can simply, at the click of a button, look at the previous jobs associated with said oven instead of having to go back through all of your individual routine inspections, all that sort of stuff. You've then also got the ability to look at the previous spend associated with said oven by that owner, some remaining depreciable value, and then some estimated costs for repair and replacement. So the asset register itself is designed to allow you to have a better conversation with those owners about, hey, maybe it's time we replace this asset, not repair it. So a bit of a value add there from your side of things. With any form of maintenance, you've got 5 options. So first and foremost, sending work orders. Now, one thing we've done as part of our service to you is we actually take control and look after your annual compliance documents for your trades. So for those of you that get it when you first onboard a trade, that's great. But a lot of agencies let that lapse. So every 12 months down the track, you're not actually chasing to get updated documents. So part of the Tapi platform is the moment your trades are invited to Tapi, which is great for them because one, they don't need to sign up to anything. They don't need to download any apps, and it doesn't cost your trades any money to work with you and Tapi. But once the trades are invited, it'll ask them to supply their most recent set of documents. So licenses, copies of certificate of currency, SWIMS documents, anything you may need for them to work with you. Then once you've validated those documents, every 12 months, 2 weeks out from expiry, we will automatically send them a follow-up to say, hey, you're coming up for renewal on this set of documents. Can you please upload the most recent set by this date? If the trade doesn't add those documents by the time they're due to expire, the next request they get, they actually need to tick a little box that says, I accept that I've got the required documents, I've just been slack and haven't uploaded them yet. So we'll take control of that for you. You've then, with a work order, got the ability to add a cost limit. You don't have to, but you've got the ability to. You can notify the trade. You can modify your reminder cycle. Then you can also contact your owner and let them know who's taking care of the work order. If I had a tenant, you can do the same thing. And then you've also got the ability to add some health and safety alerts to that work order. You may have them set as a standard against that property as well. All you need to do then, hit send work order. It goes off to the trade. They accept the job. They tell you when they're going to complete the work. And the reason being is the day after that expected completion date, the system is going to follow them up to say, hey, did you finish the work yesterday as suggested? If so, where is your invoice? And then it's going to allow you to close out that job. Asking owner for approvals, nice, simple email. It goes off to the owner. They click on a link. It's all branded up as well. They click on a link. They see all the information that we've got here. They simply click approve, or if they want to decline, they've actually got to put a reason in as to why. Now, like I said earlier, you are always in control as the property manager for everything that goes on in this platform. So you can override that poor decision if there is one made by a landlord. For those of you that love getting asked for multiple quotes, we've simplified the whole thing. So if this owner said, right, Anthony, I want 3 quotes, all I simply do is just type in the 3 trades that I want to send this request to. And once we've selected our 3 trades, I scroll down. I can notify all 3 trades. I can modify my reminder cycle. I can notify the owner. If I had a tenant, once again, I can notify the tenant, select my health and safety alerts, hit submit, and within 30 seconds, I've just notified all 5 parties that there's a quote request for that particular issue. What that then looks like when it comes back in, instead of you having to click and drag quotes and PDFs and all that sort of stuff to then push back out to the owner, in this case, I've got 2 quotes that have come back. I've got a 3rd trade that hasn't quoted. I simply want to ask the owner to review these 2 initial quotes. All I do is flag the 2 quotes, put a recommendation in here, hit send to owner. The owner then gets presented with all that information via email. They select the trade that they want to go with. That trade, if selected, gets approved. They get the work order. They go out and do the job. To the 2 trades that were unsuccessful, so the one that actually quoted and the one that didn't, they both get a nice courtesy communication piece that says, sorry, the work is no longer required. So you're not getting those trades following you up, a week or 2 weeks to ask what happened. They simply get told the work is no longer required. And what we're doing through every step in a job is creating an activity log. So this is your new tribunal document. It will show you every single piece of interaction between anyone within your team, the owner, the tenant, the trade. Everything is time and date stamped. You'll even be able to see that emails have been sent, they've been clicked and opened by the trade, by the tenant, by the owner. You can add notes. Everything is collated on this one job. And if you ever needed to get this printed, just come up to More, Export for Print, select what you want to include. That'll generate a nice PDF for you to be able to then print off and walk out the door to tribunal, all within a matter of minutes. The other two options I wanted to show you, in terms of, for any of you that have owners that like to do their own maintenance, and you might mark those as owner attending and then you forget about it, we actually treat those owners like a trade. So you send them a copy of the work order. Once again, like a trade, they nominate when they expect to complete the work. And then once they've completed the work, the day after, the system's going to follow them up automatically to confirm the work has been done, and then you can close the job off. The fifth option is planning for later. Now, this is great if you've got an owner that said, look, I don't want to do it right now. Let's, knock it over in a couple of months. You may have identified something at a routine and said, right, we don't need to worry about this until, say, the 12th of November. You can add a note as to why. You can notify the owner or the tenant. But once you hit plan job, what that actually does is it then snoozes this request until such date that it rolls around, and then it automatically reappears in your take action list on that date for you then to either send off as a owner approval or as a work order or quote request. So it's not going to impact your open jobs, not going to impact your KPIs, all that sort of stuff. It basically just gets snoozed until that date rolls around, and then it automatically reappears. Now, for those of you thinking that that might be great for recurring work, I've got an even better solution for you. So we've got this services tab that allows you to identify those jobs or, 6 monthly, annual, whatever it may be, servicing or just recurring work that you may have set up at the moment. If you're using any of the major smoke alarm providers that integrate with Console, you don't need to worry about this. But if you're in a smaller regional area and you're using local Sparkies or whatever it may be, it's certainly a great tool for smoke alarms because you can basically set it up so every 12 months it just sends an automatic work order off to the trade with the current tenant details. But if we had a gutter cleaning service provided, it could be lawn maintenance, it could be a monthly pool service, air conditioning servicing, chimney sweeps, all that sort of stuff, or annual pest sprays. Essentially, you just select the service, allocate it to the trade that you want it to, and then when we go to add property, you simply just add the property that you want to add, scroll down, select the date you want it to start. If I said, right, I want this gutter cleaning done at Grant Road every 12 months. Now, you can have it so it ends on certain dates or never. And if you ever archive this property, it just closes that loop anyway. But I want to automatically allocate this work order, which I've got all my work order details here at the bottom. I can then also notify the owner, the tenants, and the trade. But once every 12 months, I can automatically send this work order off to this trade without any interaction from you, the PM, or I can manually have it set so it then appears in my take action list once every 12 months for me then to seek either further owner approval before I push it out to the trade, or I just manually push it out to the trade. So that is for any reoccurring work that you may have set up in your existing platform, just to make it easier for everyone. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is when it comes to invoices. So whether you're doing this internally or you've got some external help, with the invoices and the trades, what we do is, and this is the only real difference to the trade, is we set up a unique email address for them to send their invoices to, which is generally just your agency name @tarpy.com.au. Based on that invoice coming in, our system will then read the invoice. So we've got a copy here of an invoice that should populate any second now. This is great. Technology. Oh, there we go. There's the invoice. So what we've actually done is we will match this invoice to this job. So you'll see that. As we scroll down, you'll have any notes associated with the supplier, with the property, with the owner, or associated to the job. We will flag the following. So if the invoice is a duplicate, We will flag if the invoice cost is higher than the original cost limit that you set at the beginning of the job. And we will also flag if the invoice cost is higher than the original quote amount. So that'll all be shown in this component. We've then got the second step, which is where you get to amend the invoice. So if you didn't like this line item description, you can edit this because this is what's going to appear on the owner's statement. The invoice number is pre-filled. The invoice date, the due date is pre-filled. The GST and the total amount is pre-filled. Now, 95% of your invoices for maintenance will be charged against the rental funds or the property. If you wanted to, you can also forward it to the owner for payment. Now, one of our other value adds is we've teamed up with a company called Property Credit, who offer a lending facility for owners that allows them to get invoices paid through an approval process. They can borrow up to $15,000 and then put it on a payment plan over 6 to 12 months. And the good thing is it's at an arm's length from you. The invoice gets paid directly, shows that as it does on your statements, and it's up to the owner to make those commitments moving forward. You can also use it for new business as well. Your expense account codes, so they'll match the ones in Console Cloud. BPay, I'll come back to that in a second. You can also process this invoice as a deposit. So if you've got a larger ticket item where the trader said, right, I need a certain amount of cash or a percentage before I start the work, you can process the deposit and then keep the job open until the final invoice has been submitted. The other thing you can do is also charge back to the tenancy. So if you've got a bond issue, you can charge it to both the current and the previous tenant. And then at the bottom here, you can notify all three parties that the invoice has been reviewed, approved, and submitted for payment. It'll show you here that the invoice cost limit has been exceeded as well. Once you click approve, we push that invoice. We also ask the trades to submit completed photos of the work. So that'll go back into Console. It will close out the work order that it has created initially, and then it'll create that creditor bill ready for whoever does your payment run to basically just pay it, and then the invoice gets paid. The other thing with invoices, which is what we've got in beta testing at the moment, is the ability for you to process water rates and council rates through Tapi in a bulk billing scenario. Once we've got those two down pat, we will then also look at strata levies and insurances to be processed through Tapi as well. That will be an additional component to the standard Tapi platform, but it's designed to save you a hell of a lot of time and effort when it comes to those quarterly invoices. Other than that, guys, the other thing I wanted to touch on, help and support. So that's a big aspect of our business, is that customer service and making sure that you're utilizing it properly moving forward. If you decide to implement Tapi, you actually get your own dedicated customer success manager who will help you and hold your hand through the onboarding, the setup, and the training side of things. They will then also reach out to you regularly for health checks. They will also introduce new features, new functionality, all that sort of stuff to you as well. But in the meantime, if you need to talk to anyone in terms of support, these are real people. We don't use bots for our support. You can chat with those people in a live case scenario. And then you've also got the ability to search through any number of pre-recorded webinars, video tutorials, written tutorials, all that sort of stuff as well. So we're very hands-on when it comes to the help and support. Just some other tabs here to just point out: suppliers, so you can track how many open jobs, how long they take on average to complete their work, and also the spend that you may have had with those trades. Compliance, it's simply just your trades compliance documents. So when they upload those, you come in, you review those, you check all the details, and then you validate it and hit save. And then for those of you that want to be able to track some metrics within your teams, you can look at how well both your team are performing and also a comparison with your trades. So you can actually look at, and these numbers are pretty ordinary, but if I was to compare this to last month, we can actually help you track things like owner approvals. So, 14 hours for a normal job, but you're getting urgent jobs approved within a minute. And if you looked at it as a comparison to normal the last month, it's taken 8 days and you've got it down to 14 hours. So we've actually had agencies report to us where one in particular, they were taking 20 days to get owner approvals completed. They've now got it down to just 16 minutes. So you can look at all of that from an overall perspective. You can then see, obviously, like I said before, how the team are performing, how long jobs are sitting in each status, and then also your trades at the bottom. So looking at how long it's taking them to complete the work, how many jobs they've got open with you, all that sort of stuff as well. But in any case, that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you within the platform. You can also set up multiple views. So if you've got a bigger agency where you're broken down into portfolios, you can actually chop and change between each of those. People can shadow one another, all that sort of thing. If you've gone down the path of, either assistants or remote professionals, you'll have the ability to show the property agent. So that's the person associated with the property and console. And the job agent can be an assistant or an RP moving the chess pieces around in the back end. So you can see all of that at a moment's notice as well. Other than that, everything I wanted to show you within there. Just to touch on a couple of other things. So here's that office I was talking about that has cut it down from 20 days to 16 minutes in terms of owner approvals. The value adds, just recapping that. So with the asset register, being able to track depreciation, the warranties, the history of work, and the asset manuals as well. And then the lending facility. So up to $15,000, repayable over 6 to 12 months at a low monthly interest rate. That is something you can switch on or have switched off. It's up to you. And then this is something that's coming in the next little while. Tarpepedia. So think of an encyclopedia, but for repairs and maintenance from a PM's perspective. This is going to have over 700 individual issues, how to resolve them, and also according to your local RTA, but some approximate costs based on state averages for repairs. So you'll have instant access to that as a property manager within Tarpe when it's released. In terms of cost, and I'm happy to share this information with everyone, if you're an agency of under 130 properties under management, you're looking at a flat fee of $175 per month. If you're above that, it starts at $1.35 per property per month. The next tier is 250 to 500 properties, 500 to 750, 750 to 1,000 and above. For those offices that are in those brackets, I'm happy to share more detailed costing. As a special across the board to every Urban X office, we are offering a $600 reduced fee for the onboarding, setup, and training. Normally that's $1,200. And the QR codes, which are optional, if you do decide to implement those, which you would need one for every property as they are unique to each property, they come at a cost of 75 cents per QR code, printed and supplied to you with a 12-month agreement. Other than that, that's everything I wanted to share with you today. I've got a whole host of testimonials that I can push through to you. The good news is I don't need to sell this. It's essentially just I'll show you how it works, and then the team basically, we've got that many officers out there that are happy, that will be happy to talk to you and share their feedback with you. So it's all pretty simple from that case.
Is there anything in there, Anthony, sorry, about like management of smoke alarm providers, say like BCMC or smoke alarm solutions?
So with smoke alarms, because they're typically already integrated with console, there's no reason to run those through Tarpe.
Yeah.
It's only if you were using a local Sparky that, just to show you, so
that doesn't have a portal or a platform. Yeah.
Yeah, and typically speaking, those local Sparkies will just say, hey, for the month of September, these from last year, these were the property addresses that we're expecting to go back out and service. Can you please send us, the tenant details? So something like that, you would set them up as a smoke alarm check, and then you just select the trade and basically add the property to it, because it will then automatically, once every 12 months, push out that work order to that Sparky to say, right, here's a request for a smoke alarm check. Here's the most recent tenant details. Let us know when you've done the job.
Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah. So it'll update that. Yeah. Can you create, Marlene, this is just based off one of your questions if you're listening there, but can you create a job and assign it to an upcoming tenant? So a tenant hasn't moved in, they might not move in until next week, but you want to send out the job now for the tradie to contact the tenant for when the tenancy commences?
Yeah, so if the tenant details have been added to console,
Yeah.
as a tenant that's coming in a week, those details will feed across as soon as that tenant's been added.
Sure.
Or you'd simply go, for whatever property, you could create a new job, and you could then just add a note to the job to say to the trade or communicate to the trade directly, the new tenant details are, Chris, phone number is blah, 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 blah. And then they can reach out to them by that way if they haven't been put across from console. But even to create, very, very simple.
And then if there's a work order that you want to forward to Strata, for example, but they want you to send it to a building manager who's not like in the supplier folio, can you forward that out to someone who's not set up as a supplier, essentially?
So the Strata comes across, they're actually set up as a trade.
Yeah.
So Strata, all your Strata details will come across as well. They're just treated like a trade within the platform.
Yeah, but if you just have like an email address that's not set up in that supplier, so like they've given you a building manager's email address to forward the job to, can you just manually put in that email address into the job as well? I'm not sure if you've frozen.
Hey, B, I'm not sure if you know this.
Yeah.
But will the tenant portal then become null and void then?
No.
But they'll still report maintenance through that.
Yeah, but you just got to try and divert people and encourage them to report it through like the other channels. So if you had like a maintenance link on your website, like he showed, they'd be able to just.
We haven't sent out our tenant portal. I might not do that, and then we're going to be pretty keen on looking at this a little bit further.
I think it's. I definitely think it's awesome. I love how Anthony's frozen with his tongue out. Yes, I mean, like the portal's good for other reasons though, right? So it's just around like inspections and like their lease data and their receipts and things like that. That's got everything in it, not just for maintenance. So I guess it's probably just more around like educating them where you need to channel the maintenance to. But even still, because they're integrated in, if the tenant submitted something through the portal, it's going to push potentially something we could have asked Anthony if he was there. But because they're integrating the two and they're like closing, like you're managing everything in Tapi. But I'm wondering if a tenant reports maintenance from the portal, it's going to create like the shell of the job in console, right? And then I would think that would be moving across to your to-do list in Tapi. So
I want them to go through that chatbot.
But you want them to go through that, yeah. So I think it's just around an education piece around just letting them know that we don't want you to put it through here. You've got to put it through here instead. But I know that's a bit tricky, but it's really up to you. I mean, if a tenant doesn't have a portal, do they actually care? And it is.
So what, having the console portal and then having the Tapi portal as well?
Yeah, so they'd be lodging their maintenance through the Tapi portal because that's what's going to give them the chatbot to like troubleshoot them through the maintenance.
It's hard enough getting them on one portal, let alone on two.
Yeah, so like I think you missed the first part there, Marlena, which I've recorded it and I'll send it to you. But
thank you.
There's a link on the website where you report maintenance and it takes them through like the chatbot, like it takes them through the troubleshooting. So if you have a look at that, it's probably easy. It's not necessarily a portal, it's a link that they lodge it through.
Yep.
And the QR code would work well too.
QR code too, yeah, Marlena, I think you might have missed that part too, but essentially you can get a QR code for every property under management and go and stick it like in the cupboard door or something like that. And then obviously if tenants want to report maintenance, they just like scanning that QR code. And then what he was saying is obviously as your tenancies change, the details will update of who that tenant is. So it's kind of managed through Tapi as well. And they're 75 cents a QR code. So you could get like 500 of them and then just put them into the cupboards. If you were to lose management, obviously you probably need to go and remove that QR code from the property. So depending on like whether you stuck it somewhere or gave it to them on a fridge magnet or something like that.
No, that's cool. Just build that little 75 cents into a fee somewhere, a sign and another.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's awesome, and I love like the automation of it, the invoice component of it, and definitely I think just like having that little what did he call it? The like inventory or the, you know, the life cycle of the, especially for ovens and dishwashers, and having that on the side where you're arguing with an owner about a dishwasher that the tenant might have blocked. It's like it's going to be $300, you know, essentially to fix it, or $500-600 for a new one. I think that's a bit of a game changer for, especially for those arguments around, oh, I can't afford it, or, you know, I would rather fix it than get a new one.
Linda, like it all sounds pretty amazing, really, to be able to troubleshoot and automatically do everything for us, pretty much. But I'm just wondering if Tapi can access all our Consell Cloud information, how much information they can access.
It's fine.
Well,
like, is it just maintenance? Like, I know they only want the maintenance kind of information, but
yeah, it's.
I mean, if any owner was to ask us, what information they can access, we need to be able to tell them who can access that information and when.
Yeah, it is that, like, that's not bank details or anything like that. It's just the ownership names, etc. Ownership name, tenant name, access. Nothing. I don't think it will be anything. It's like, it's not secure, but might be a question for Anthony, essentially, Sandy.
In saying that, I was watching this different related the other day, and they were saying the same thing. You've got to be careful what you're actually running through the filters, because it is web-based, like then that can inadvertently release all that information.
Yeah, that'd be a good one for Anthony. I'll ask that question and let you guys know.
Yeah.
I would think that upon setup, there'd be some 2FA, like two-factor authentication, that would be set up. You know, for that.
It would be for logging in, but I'm just thinking of the skimming over the entering the details in the actual chat part, the AI part.
Oh, sure. Yeah, cool. Yeah, great question. I'll come back to you. We've lost him, so I'll continue the webinar. This is obviously fully recorded. If anyone wants to re-go through it again, Marlena, I'll send it to you if you just want to look at the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I can give you Anthony's details. I know that Strud have just signed up and started using it. Their rent roll's about 400. I will catch up with her this week and see how that's going for them. And I'll let you guys know. All good?
Thank you.
Thanks, B.
Thank you. See ya. All right. If anyone needs any questions, just shout out. I can give you Anthony's details, etc.
Cool. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks again. Bye.